Hey, this is John at The Bold Authentic Life. I just wanted to welcome you to my channel. If this is your first time viewing, this is a place where I talk about all things mental, social, emotional, and spiritual health. And I wanted to thank everybody for watching my first video last week. And personally, I had a lot of people reach out to me with their input and their feedback and their opinions, and I'm really encouraged by all of that. It's one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to start a video, is because I want to create a culture where it's normal to talk to other people about those things, and building connections and being able to have those conversations with other people, and that's exactly what I'm grateful to do. And so I just wanted to thank everybody who supported me. And so if you haven't seen my first video, you can find the link to it in the description down below. This week, I'm going to be doing a video about depression and, to a lesser extent, anxiety. For me, I've had the opportunity to work and volunteer with a number of organizations. Through all of that, I've been able to present at conferences about mental health and stigma. I've been able to present at in classes and undergrad courses, and I've had so many chances to just see firsthand social work and to even do a lot of research and to contribute to articles that are published in mental health journals. On top of that, I'm a person with my own lived experience. I've walked through depression. I've walked through anxiety. It's it's one of those things that I've not only had the opportunity to to battle against, but also to thrive against. And I live a life where, hey, nothing's ever perfect, but I see the hope in going about my day to day, and that's something that I wanted to share with you today, is tips for how to not just survive when living with depression, but also to thrive and to be able to take steps, no matter how small, just to be able to take steps forward and to find reasons to keep going and to grow and to become stronger. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So depression and anxiety are actually two of the top three most common mental health disorders in the United States. The third one being substance abuse disorders. There used to be this this textbook definition, right, in the DSM, which is this book that allows psychiatrists to diagnose everybody according to specific criteria. And what a lot of people don't know about today is that the DSM is actually starting to fall really heavily into disfavor, and just it's a thing of the past, because the way we used to categorize people with the DSM is that they had to meet a certain amount of criteria in it in order to be diagnosed. And so when it came to depression, you could have all of the signs of depression but not meet all of the criteria for it. And so technically nobody could ever say, well, you're not exactly dealing with depression, when really it's just like, no, clearly there's a problem. Somebody should help this person. Somebody should do something. Specifically with depression, it has to last for 3 weeks or more. But is a textbook definition really fitting for the case of, hey, this person they're going through a lot and they're unable to go about their normal life? And it doesn't have to, you don't have to wait 3 weeks in order to be like, oh, now we should do something, like they're going through something. No. So with depression, what we need to understand is when something becomes a disorder, when you have an intense amount of sadness or loss of interest in going about your everyday business, and it affects your ability to have social relationships, it affects your ability to go to work, it affects your ability to just conduct your daily activities, waking up, brushing your teeth, making sure you're eating well, and you're unable to do these things, then that's depression. And sometimes it can last for a few weeks, sometimes it can last for months, sometimes it can be lifelong, it could have been happening for years. But that's the definition that you can most easily find on the internet, as well as in the mental health first aid manual. So with that being said, here are some strategies that I have that I've personally experienced and walked through that, in my opinion, can actually help you personally grow if you're somebody who's living with depression or anxiety. The first thing you can do is to journal. Journaling is one of the easiest things you can do, because it just requires, if you don't want to do it on a computer, it just requires paper and pen. And there are many pros to it, and there are a couple cons, but those are heavily overshadowed. Journaling is one of the easiest things to do, and what it does is it creates a place where you can confide in yourself, and you can just pour out and out process, and just put everything that's going on in your head onto paper. And when you do that, you are able to really step back and take a look at it, and to see, just see the situations for what they are, and you're able to think about and process how you feel, and there isn't really any shame associated with it, because you don't have to worry about anybody else or what they think. You can just do that on your own, and it's a safe way to handle those emotions. So journaling is one of those things that you can always do at any time, and you are always free to do it, and you're the one that chooses to do it. You're the one that has the power to do it, and it allows you to process everything that you experience, and those are the great things about it. The I guess kind of the cons, if you will, about doing it, they're not really negative things, but the thing is, it in my opinion, I think journaling doesn't really give you the opportunity to actually get some external feedback, because you can have an epiphany by just going over a situation by yourself, but sometimes it really does help to have other people weigh in on it. And so if you only ever journal about your problems to yourself, you might miss out on the fact that somebody else might have something valuable to say, and you won't get to process it with a second brain that's willing and capable of processing it with you. The second strategy that I have for you is confiding in a support network. Now, this is taken from the Mental Health First Aid Manual, which I have right here, and I take a lot of notes in it. But one of the most common forms of self-help and support listed in there is faith, family, and friends. Now, this is something that is a little easier said than done, because sometimes we don't necessarily have the best support network, right? Sometimes, it can be, the lack of trustworthy friends that is keeping us, unable to move forward and to heal from trauma, or to overcome depression or overcome anxiety. And maybe it's family that's causing it, and you have this toxic family situation that is just preventing you from progressing and growing and healing, and so it's very easy to say, oh, find a friend that you can trust, and talk to them about your problem. So my challenge to you there is to realize that in order to actually, grow and move forward, we've got to find ways to create a healthier circle of relationships in our lives. So basically, very few things that are good are easy to get, and you've got to put in the work. And sometimes that means taking a good hard look at your relationships in life, and seeing what's actually healthy for you and what's actually not. And that's a video for another day. That being said, we're going to go on to our third strategy. talking to a counselor, right? Now, this is something that I always encourage for everybody because it makes such a difference. This is a very powerful tool that can help you gain a lot of insight. In my experience, having a good support network and having a good counselor, it's always been a winning strategy. It's always been a combination that only leads to growth and success, because you get support when you're not talking to anybody about it, but you also get a specialized professional who can actually shed a lot of very good insight into living with depression or anxiety. There's a couple things that I do want to warn you about is that, for one, not every therapist is a good match for you. And that's something that actually, in my experience, a lot of counselors actually encourage you to go with the counselor that is going to help you in the way that you feel best, right? I had a counselor who, he helped me out a lot, and he was a really great guy, but I didn't really feel like I was getting to explore a lot of my past and continue to grow. And so I found another counselor, and she challenged me a lot. She helped me build healthier relationships with other people and a healthier relationship with myself. And so I parted ways with the first one amicably, and he very much encouraged me to go with who I felt was going to be helping me. And that being said, the second reservation that a lot of people have with going to see help is the money, is the cost. And a lot of therapists actually offer a sliding scale for their services, and so it's based off of your income, and that affects how much you're actually charged, and they go out of their way to try to accommodate you as much as they can. It still costs some money, but they try to lower the price for you, so that it's a little bit more affordable. Overall, if I were to tell you about therapy, I would say that there's no shame in it. A lot of people think that going to see somebody and talking to somebody is a sign of defeat. It's a sign of that you only do it when you're your absolute worst, and so nobody wants to admit that they're losing. And the reality is far from it. Going to see a counselor, going to see a professional, or even just meeting up with your friends who can healthily encourage your growth and development, that's maintenance for your mental and emotional state. And if you're not taking regular steps to do that, but you're only going in when things are at their absolute worst, you're not setting yourself up for success, and you're not giving yourself the best opportunity that you have to succeed. And you're the only person that can do that. You're the only person that can choose to do better for yourself, and you're the only person that can love yourself and respect yourself enough to consistently and continually be looking for ways to improve. And that's why seeing a counselor is one of the most powerful things that you can do. The fourth thing that I have for you is to audit your toxic behaviors. A lot of people don't like to believe that they're responsible for a lot of the negativity that goes on in their lives. I certainly, have realized that that's such a hard pill for me to swallow, is that, I'm not, that I'm not perfect. And the reality is that none of us are, and there's no shame in that. And a lot of times when we have anxiety and depression, we don't want to admit that it causes us to behave in certain ways that are harmful to others, or much more importantly, harmful to ourselves. And we have to audit all of our behaviors and really understand, hey, what's beneficial to me and what isn't. And this goes back to sometimes this requires the help of our friends. Sometimes it's requires therapy and counseling to be able to do. Sometimes journaling helps to do it. So this goes back to everything that I've listed so far. But being able to audit your toxic behaviors and to say, hey, this is actually something that I need to do better on. This is something that I need to improve on. Allows you to take ownership. And what a lot of people get wrong about doing this is they beat themselves up and they shame themselves, and they beat themselves down to a point where they get into the why try mentality of, well, hey, why should I try better? I'm just a loser anyway. They're not kind to themselves anymore. They start to see themselves as a failure because they can look at all of the things that they just can't get right. And I just want to remind everybody that we all have a vast amount of value and importance, and accomplishments are not a part of that. It's just intrinsic to being human, to being alive. There's so much value and worth in who you are. But that being said, we're all human, and there are all so many imperfections, and the best things that we can do to succeed is to really value ourselves and to really understand that we have a high amount of dignity. We have a high amount of worth, and that's something that we are the only people that are capable of protecting, like our own worth. Like, it's great when other people defend that and protect it, but the most capable people of protecting our self-respect and our self-dignity is us. And how this applies to looking at your toxic behaviors is realizing that, hey, every time that I am behaving in a certain way, I'm actually lowering my sense of self-dignity. And I need to stop doing that, because I'm the protector of my dignity. I'm the protector of my self-respect. And every time that I choose to do something, or every time that I choose to respond to a certain situation in a certain way, I'm dragging myself down, and I need to do better, and I need to stop responding in a certain way. And there are so many ways that you can do this. You have these standards and you have these values for yourself that you start to just, put into practice, and you don't have to be perfect about them. You can miss it here and there, but you realize that, hey, incrementally I'm taking steps and I'm improving every day. And that's the most important part. So the fifth strategy that I have for you is to try a new activity. Now, this can be something that is like a class or a hobby, or just something that might be a little bit pricey or a little bit expensive, or this could be something simple that you don't do often, that you can kind of go off and do on your own or with a couple of really good friends. But try something new, try something that breaks you out of your comfort zone and allows you to just have something that you just get to enjoy, for you. Sometimes we don't exactly have the time to do this all the time. So whether it's a weekly class, whether it's like going to a dance studio and learning to dance, or taking a wine tasting class, or scuba diving, maybe we don't exactly have time for those. It could be something so simple as just taking time out of your week or your weekend to go somewhere nice by yourself, and to essentially take yourself out on a date with just yourself, and to treat yourself out, to enjoy something, to go somewhere nice and read a book, or to go have a good meal somewhere just by yourself. And that's something that actually a lot of people in their teens and their early 20s have a lot of stigma against. And so if you're in that age range, like the very concept of that may or may not make you kind of like chuckle and be like, wow, who does that? Because when I was that age, that's exactly how I thought. I was just like, wow, like who does that? And the second that I started to do that for myself, there were a couple of people that I would kind of talk about it with, and they would kind of give me that whole like, wow, like what kind of loser does that? Takes themselves out to go grab a good meal by themselves. That's so lonely. That's sad. But actually there's so much power in being so confident and so comfortable in your own skin that you're like, hey, you know what? Like, I really want to do this right now, and I would really enjoy just, you know, having some time for myself to just go enjoy something, you know, just by myself. And you'll realize the more that you do that, that the only people that are sitting there mocking you and thinking to themselves, wow, what a loser, are, you know, people that are insecure. That you're doing something that shows confidence, that you're doing something that shows how comfortable in your own skin you are, that you're doing something that shows how much, you know, you love yourself and how much you respect yourself to just go enjoy something by yourself. That, you know, the only people that can mock that are the people that don't understand it and that are, you know, have to work on a lot of their own insecurities and, you know, kind of aren't. And there's so much power in stepping outside of your comfort zone. There's so much power in doing something bold, in doing something new, and in doing something that challenges you. I think the biggest sign that we love ourselves is when we are able to invest our time into the things that we truly care for. So I think that the single unifying theme behind all of these strategies that I've listed today is vulnerability. And vulnerability is one of those things that's, you know, it's not easy because people look at it and they perceive it as something that displays weakness. But vulnerability is it's a display of courage because it's the path to authenticity. So those are the strategies that I have listed for today. There are so many more, and I obviously could not include them because, you know, the video would go on forever and forever. But that's also a good thing because that just means that there are so many like options out there for you. If you're living with depression or anxiety or mental illness, there are so many options, and whether you realize it or not, there's always potential and there's always a future, and you're definitely not alone in all of this. If you have any more, definitely let me know. I would love to, you know, put those into practice and to learn about those. And be sure to hit the like and I'm trying to figure out where these buttons are. I think it's going to be the like button and the subscribe button notification over there. It might be the other way around, but I just wanted to thank you for watching. Tune in next week. I will have a lot more content for you there. So thank you for watching my video. So there's that. All right, so this is John from The Bold Authentic Life. I'll see you later. Take it easy. Have hope. You're not alone. I'm gonna go play Fallout 4. So, yeah. I'm currently dog sitting and house sitting right now. And Shiloh, who is the dog, is somewhere around here. She was actually sitting right behind me before I started filming, and I guess did not want to share. This is her favorite spot, actually, so I claimed it to film, and she, I guess, just wants to run around or something. Maybe she's outside. Oh, I hear her. Shiloh, come here. Come here. Shiloh.